This is Vanessa Mappy with Warner Pacific University's Cultural Studies online course with instructor Laura Adams. Today's date is February 14th, 2022. This is my cultural perspective interview and presentation. I took the interview with my neighbor and friend, Olga Asurga from Ukraine. And I will be sharing about her family and her perspective. The first question that I asked her, kind of appropriate for Valentine's Day, is what is love? To her, love is sacrifice. It means to give of yourself to make others happy. Generally, this means for her husband, for the rest of her family, for her children. But it definitely goes to her extended family. In her culture, the matriarch is to cook and clean and maintain the home, do everything so that everybody else feels comfortable and safe and taken care of. When asked what freedom was, to her, it is being able to live life according to your own beliefs and to follow your dreams. So for her, there is a huge contrast between living in Ukraine, and one of the reasons that her and her family chose to live in the United States, because when they lived in Ukraine, they lived in a socialistic country with socialism, which meant there was not much freedom for them, at least not to express their beliefs openly, mainly being Christians and believing in God. They didn't feel like they could, well, they weren't allowed to maybe start their own business or create their lives the way they wanted to and live openly. Whereas here, her parents and them drive truck, have their own trunking company. The family works together. It's a family-owned logistics company, which they were unable to do over there. They're able to freely go to church and talk about their belief in God and share it with others, which they would not do over there. And in the American culture, they feel that they're able to express their beliefs. They actually have a American flag hanging up in their closet. It was one of the first things I noticed when I moved in across the street from them. She's very open about her relationship with God, and they actually attend two different churches. One is very Orthodox Russian Ukrainian, and then they also go to just a normal non-denominational church that I actually go with her sometimes. So for here, it was about the freedom is just being able to be who you are and who you want to be and express yourself, your beliefs, as well as be able to pursue the dream of business and financial goals. What is sacred to her and her family, for her, is honesty. Basically willing to admit when you're wrong and the courage to face those shortcomings. What she told me was that in Ukraine, it is considered weak to express any kind of problems that you have, any weaknesses that you may have as far as addiction. One thing she mentioned was there is a lot of alcoholism because of vodka. There is a lot of domestic violence and things going on there, but nobody asks for help because it is frowned upon in their culture. So I guess this kind of ties into their belief about coming here to America to be able to live freely means that they can ask for help and say that they're having familial problems or addictions or things like that. So obviously moving from your home country to another country in order to be able to live honestly is something that's very sacred to them. The family core values all centers around the home, spending lots of quality time together. They do not choose to do other things when there is birthday parties and holidays or Sundays or dinners. It's all about quality time with the family and extended family. And again, it's all about just making sure that the home is peaceful, and all of the needs are met. The modal personality in anthropological terms is that of the nuclear family with a husband, wife, and children. The husband is the patriarch, and the extended family is very much included in daily life. This was probably the funnest part of the interview, where I got to learn a lot of the differences. I mean, some are the same, but a lot of the differences, and maybe we used to kind of be this way, but our culture has definitely changed. So the taboos in their culture are that if you do not caretake of the elderly, you would basically be disowned. While here in America, they may have the opportunity to put their in-laws or parents into a nursing home, that is absolutely frowned upon. They are fully expected to take them into their home. That's in Ukraine as well as here. If you refuse to do that and you had the means to do so, the family basically wouldn't talk to you anymore, wouldn't treat you like family. They do not marry outside of their cultural boundaries. How it's explained to me is there's Eastern and Western Europe. So if you're from Ukraine, you can marry within the Slavic community, Soviet Union, Polish, and Romanian, but they do not, and kind of frowned upon Germany, Western Europe, like Germany and the Irish. And it's just kind of something you don't do. They do not divorce. If they do, again, they just don't fit in within the whole family. So it very rarely happens, at least as far as her family and her experience. I did share with her in the United States that we used to do this, but you do not call your in-laws by their first names. That is considered completely disrespectful, and again, will get you a little bit disgraced. They call them mom and dad because when you marry into the family, and that's still used to this day. They do have a different way of speaking to people that they're familiar with and not familiar with. You don't call people by their name. If you don't know them and you're not with them, she shared some different ways of saying it, but you show respect to elders, teachers, your boss, but it also is the same with somebody that maybe you meet on the street because you just don't know who it is that you're talking to. So she said sometimes Ukrainians can seem standoffish and not very friendly, but that's because it's looked at as taboo to be overly friendly, touching, smiling, being too informal with somebody that you have not met that with. But she said it's the moment that you are kind of accepted and they feel familiar with you, you'll be basically invited into the family. They'll feed you. They will just basically smother you and treat you like one of their own. But there's a very distinct difference between the two, and have to cross over that boundary with them. So overall, it did occur that although there are lots of differences culturally between us, even if they were in Ukraine, there are still some common aspirations. That is, family being important, seeking God. Between her and I, it was being a good mom and having goals and dreams. So while there's lots of differences culturally, there's also very common underlying similarities.